Here we are again.
Hello, and welcome to Therapy, a video series that's part review, part retrospective, but mostly just stuff. The Enterprise NX-01, the first Enterprise, the second Starship Enterprise, the last Primeline Enterprise, the fifth Real-World Enterprise. So let's attempt to sort all that out by taking a look at her history, design, and, oh spoiler alert, we'll cover a lot of other random stuff about her as well. It's been a long road getting from there to here, but you already know that. This is the Enterprise NX-01 Therapy. So let's begin by taking a look at the state of Star Trek back in 2001 when the ship debuted. The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager each had 7 season runs. And the Next Generation also had 3 feature films at this point. That's about 500 hours of Star Trek produced over a continuous 14-year stretch by essentially the same creative team led by Rick Berman. And the franchise was arguably in decline since First Contact in 1996. According to Rick Berman, Paramount CBS was going to produce another Star Trek television series immediately following Voyager's conclusion, with or without his involvement. He decided to stay on and develop the new series, but attempted to freshen things up by choosing to do a prequel. Star Wars made a bunch of money doing it, so why not?
Do you realize you've just rewritten our history books?
This brings us to the new lead ship. It would have to be a new design, while also being a plausible precursor to the Constitution-class Enterprise. The first clue of her design was revealed in a blurry leaked image of the new uniform patch. Immediately, fans could recognize her similarities to the Akira class from First Contact. So since we're on the subject of her design, let's talk about Anthony Montgomery's music career after Enterprise.
What you know about Trek? Is your time to that good enough?
Wait, no. Let's just keep talking about her design. These early concept designs reveal the process the creative team went through. This one borrows some elements from this Enterprise. This one bears striking resemblance to the Constitution-class Enterprise. And this one looks to follow Zephram Cochrane's Phoenix. Getting back to the leaked uniform patch, aside from revealing her top-down profile, it also reveals that she's named Enterprise. In this side-by-side comparison, you can see the similarities between this pre-Federation Enterprise and the Akira class. Ultimately, following the Akira class design was more attractive than following the Daedalus class design. As most of you already know, the Daedalus class was another pre-Constitution class starship. Since this was a pre-Federation Enterprise, she wouldn't have the same NCC 1701 registry number. Though her NX-01 registry number is a nod to the NX-2000 registry number on the Excelsior. It has a nice simplicity to it when compared to the USS Voyager's registry number. Were there really 74,655 Federation ships prior to the USS Voyager? Anyway, years after the cancellation of Enterprise, Doug Drexler revealed concept designs of an NX-01 refit with a proper engineering hull. Another subtle update was closing the warp nacelles housing, and adding hull livery to match the art style of the original series. So before we get into her voyages and her interior, let's take a break for a trivia question.
Where are we, Malcolm? Sir? This room, what did it used to be?
That's the question. Where are they in this scene? Chew on that, and the answer is coming up after this break. So welcome back. The The question is, where are Captain Archer and his crew in this scene? And the answer is, in the Enterprise E's observation lounge. This console DePaul is at is this console from the Enterprise E's observation lounge. More so than any other Star Trek series, the NX-01 was firmly linked to the premise of the show. First Contact featured humanity achieving Warp 1 in 2063. However, space is a big place, and Warp 1 isn't going to get you anywhere fast. So in 2119, the Warp 5 project was initiated. If a trip at Warp 1 takes 5 years, a trip at Warp 5 could be made in a matter of months. In 2151, after decades of development, the first true Earth starship was ready. There's no explanation for why she's named Enterprise. Maybe the Zeph suggested the name Enterprise since he knew about this Enterprise.
That's our ship, the Enterprise. Please, no lectures about the Prime Directive.
The NX-01 would later be joined by the NX-02, Columbia. The ships are nearly identical.
A good engineer can see the differences.
But the Columbia has an updated deflector dish and more traditional Federation blue-gray tint to her hull, compared to the slightly bronze tint on Enterprise. She had many brushes with familiar things from Star Trek lore. Encounters with Klingons, Birds of Prey, Andorians, Ferengi, Romulans, sorta, Khan-like superhumans, the Borg, Brent Spiner, and Orion slave girls. Her involvement with interstellar politics led to the formation of the Coalition of Planets in 2155. That eventually became the United Federation of Planets in 2161. She was retired from service that same year and would eventually be placed in a museum. Since this is Star Trek, there's alternate universes and timelines. In an alternate facial hair universe, her main difference was this emblem on her hull livery. In an alternate timeline, Enterprise was stranded over 100 years in the past. Her crew becomes generational, and T'Pol becomes the oldest living crew member. Notice the modified deflector array in this version of the ship. In the reboot timeline, Enterprise is acknowledged with this model in Admiral Marcus's office. In case you need a refresher, he's the xenophobic dude hell-bent on instigating a war. Sort of like this xenophobic dude hell-bent on instigating a war.
War is coming, and who's gonna lead us? You?
Along with being the first true Starfleet starship, Enterprise also had the first true Starfleet transporter fit for living things. Though kind of like this transporter, it took a few years to work out the bugs. So instead, the crew uses shuttle pods, which were featured in one of the best episodes in the series, Shuttle Pod 1, where Trip and Reed are stranded in a damaged shuttle pod that's leaking air. Since Star Trek the Motion Picture, certain sound stages were used for specific sets. This led to fairly easy set redresses to get new bridges or main engineering. For Enterprise, producers switched up the soundstage assignment, which allowed for her main engineering set to have a starkly different configuration than Voyager or previous Enterprises. Her bridge design incorporates a submarine aesthetic, but it's still distinctly a Starfleet bridge. The bridge was subtly updated in Season 4, with blue flooring and doors. A new captain's chair was also installed. This chair was previously seen in a deleted scene from Star Trek Nemesis.
When you flush the toilet, where does it go?
To wrap things up, here's how Enterprise handles its sewage.
First thing you've got to understand is we recycle pretty much everything on a starship. That includes waste. The first thing that happens to the waste is it gets processed through a machine called a biomatter resequencer. So The waste is broken down into little molecules. Then they get transformed into any number of things we can use on the ship. Cargo containers, insulation, boots, you name it.
So there you have it, the NX-01 Enterprise. So far in this series, we've covered the Enterprise B, C, D, and E. So naturally, the next Enterprise we'll hit up is... Tap that subscribe button if you'd like to stay in the loop for future videos. And as always, thanks for watching, Stinky.
Stinky.
Hey, I'm kind of working here, guys.